Millionaires are made. We're going to have a blast. I'm a little bit more refreshed than the last show, and I want to welcome you all to the show. On Millionaires Are Made, we look at the 6 aspects of health, and we believe that you can be a millionaire in each of those 6 aspects of health and wellness and finances and all that stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about something pretty important to me, and that's social health and loyalty, and what being loyal means. And we've got some great guests on today. Loyalty is really important to me, and I'm actually quite happy that I'm hosting this show. On that note, we're going to do a few things a little bit differently than Austin. Back end team, can you bring up our sponsor for the day? We're actually going to talk to him a little bit about who he is and what he does, and about his magazine for like a minute and a half, if that's okay. Brian, in the background, are you ready to go? Because we're going to bring you on and
Sure.
talk to you about your business and how to what you do. We weren't expecting this at all, right? I'm kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
But since you're the sponsor for the show, I'm going to give you a minute, just a minute. Exactly what do you do?
Well, I do a number of things. Basically, my overarching mission is to help people get their message out to the world in a bigger way. So there are a number of ways I do this. Number one, I publish a magazine called Ultimate Achievers Magazine. It is every month. It is digital, and it focuses on business and personal development. And so you can find that at ultimateachieversmagazine.com. I also host Success Profiles Radio, which is a weekly internet radio show based again on personal development and business, going strong since January 2012. And I help people write and publish their books.
That's fantastic. You know, the one thing I see the most, I do hypnotherapy sometimes. I do hypnosis shows, and I'm going to be honest. The number one thing I see for people who are not successful in their lives is some of them just need a kick in the ass and to say, yes, you can be a success. They get in their own way. So so I want to say thank you for being one of the people that helps to sponsor this show. And let's actually bring on, we're not going to bring it in. Since I have you on already, let's talk about this. What is your lesson about loyalty, or what is the tip you have about loyalty and social health and how it affects our relationships? We'll start off right there.
Sure.
Real quick.
Loyalty is really important to me. It's probably one of my top core values, because if I am loyal to you, I would really appreciate having that loyalty returned to me, because I feel, and it's not like I'm keeping score or anything, but if I feel like I'm giving and giving and giving and it's never reciprocated, that's hard to take. Secondly, if I feel like I've been good to you and you stab me in the back, that makes me not want to play in the sandbox with you. And I'm a Taurus, and I don't ever forget that. So it's really, really important. I mean, when you give, you should expect to get. But although probably on a deeper level, there's something very spiritual about giving without expectation. And I try to have that expectation. I just don't want to be hurt by my giving. I don't want to be taken advantage of by my giving. But I pour into the people who I really believe in and love and care about. And I feel like I get tremendous value out of those relationships when it's reciprocated at least a little bit. So I think there's something very important about being connected to people you care about, and having an expectation that they will have your back too when the chips are down. In fact, I've had times in my life where I've been, in a bad space, and I have a small circle of friends who check in on me pretty regularly, and we still keep that up today. And so I have my circle, and I keep my circle small because that's who I choose to trust.
Loyalty is a tough thing, right? Because it can mean so many things. From not gossiping about somebody to a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So where on your journey did you learn this? Where did you learn about your own personal loyalty? And I'm going to bring in another word, your own personal honor, because not being loyal is dishonorable in my opinion. Where did you learn about all this stuff?
I think we learn stuff like this on occasions where it doesn't happen. And you realize, okay, I don't ever want to be like that. So sometimes you learn who you are by seeing examples of who you don't want to be. Whether that's in friendships, whether that's in relationships, whether that's in the business world. I mean, I can name a number of occasions where I had managers who I thought weren't terribly good at their job. And I realized that when I owned my own company, I never want to be that type of leader. So I'm grateful for those experiences. I never want to repeat them, and I don't want to be them. But I think we learn loyalty and trust most, well, two ways. Number one, when you see great examples of it, but number two, when you see examples of it that are exactly the opposite, and you realize that's not who I want to be in life.
That is, I think that's exactly it. I really, there's an old saying is the golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated, right? And I think that goes into loyalty as well. If you're a horrible person that has no loyalty, that has no honor inside of them, sorry for saying people are horrible, but really, if you're that type of person, you can't expect other people to trust you after a certain point. Eventually, that person has cried wolf so many times that everybody just gives up on them, unless they're surrounded by enablers that just are loyal to them. Brian, I want to thank you for your input on this. We're going to throw you backstage. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But we are going to throw you backstage.
Okay.
And we're going to bring on our next guest. Let's do this.
Perfect.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Jeremy. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw you, Jeremy. That didn't work. I expected the ma'am guy to be closer. Let's do this. Tell me who you are, Jeremy, and lead like a king throughout this interview.
So, hey guys, I'm Jeremy Rodruck, men's mentor, relationship strategist, best-selling author, and I specialize in helping men to reclaim their power, restore their marriage, and rise as the leaders that their families deserve. I'm the founder of Lead Like a King, where we help men to master themselves, deepen connections at home, and stop settling for survival when they were built for legacy. I am glad to be here, and you're doing a fantastic job as a host. Let's get at it.
Let's talk about loyalty and social health. And actually, I think you might be the most pertinent guest here because, frankly, to lead like a king, you have to be loyal.
That's right. And we can look at it. I got two thoughts on this. Number one is the idea loyalty to what, right? In the West Point way of leadership, Lieutenant Colonel Denethor talks about loyalty to the harder right. What is the choice, the decision, the action that is going to create the biggest positive for the largest number of people, even if it's not personally beneficial? And we have to be careful with that because that can lead to a lot of self-sacrifice and a lot of denying our needs and wants. And we can't pour from an empty cup. So we got to keep that in mind. But this loyalty to a harder right or a larger truth. And then when we start to look at social media, especially, is it a minefield or is it a mirror? Because social media, it's just a reflection, right? It doesn't destroy loyalty. It shows what it actually is. Back in the day, if a man wanted to cheat, he had to leave the house, make a call, write a letter to betray his partner. But now, do it on a phone, right? With a like, a follow, a DM, reply to a story. And so suddenly loyalty, if we're not careful, can become a daily decision rather than a vow, a principle, or a lifestyle. So loyalty isn't really about not cheating. It's about who are we when no one's watching and when there's no personal benefit to us, right? If we're doing things for the likes, for the shares, for the follows, then we're being loyal to some sort of transaction. When we're looking for admiration, attention, flirting, validation, we end up creating a reinforcement of the containers that we're in, and we're not actually building where we want to go. We're actually poking holes at it. Right. Same for our wives when they're distracted in their phone. If my wife is totally obsessed with a phone, I'm about to get real curious, not from a judgmental place, not from a fearful place, but from curiosity. Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? Do I need to go hit somebody? Right. And then it's we get into this conversation and we connect with each other because she's my favorite human being and I'm her favorite. And so we enjoy our time. So when we know one of us is getting distracted with something, we just ask, hey, miss you. What's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? And we make it playful. And so this idea of loyalty, it kind of comes with restraint as a guideline, not posting, not commenting, not liking, not sharing, not feeling the need. Oh, what's everyone doing? And that's the harder part is to pull back and go, no, I'm good. I'm in my lane. I'm going where I want to go. I'm curious about the world, but I ain't that interested in it. Thanks.
That's fantastic. You know, listening to you, we use different verbiage because we're in different areas of this. But for me, you talk about going above and beyond, or sometimes to your personal detriment. And to me, that's what honor is. So, right, that is what being congruent with who I am personally is. And I think a lot of people don't have that filter sometimes to understand what that means, and why it's important. So where on your journey did you learn this?
Well, I am a 30-year martial artist, but I'm also a member of the military formerly. I've also been a security guard, business owner, employee, volunteer. Like you become the company you keep. And we see this like in the martial arts world, especially when somebody is disloyal to their instructor, but then they get mad when their students are disloyal to them. And it's like, dude, you planted those seeds. Like you showed the model, they're just copying you. What did you expect? So even if you have an issue or a concern or some stress point, you need to figure that out, because when you break away and cut yourself off from everyone who came before you, like our system is 1,500 years old. And when you cut yourself off from those 1,500 years, we have a member recently who like broke away and Trump and MAGA and politics. And I don't want to get into all that, but he broke away from this tradition that came from China. And now he's like talking and poo-pooing foreigners and outsiders, but you want to teach a skill set that came from another culture, and you've now cut yourself off from that. So you do realize you've cut your own legs off. And when your students do to you what you did to your instructor, you got no room to complain, because they're just doing the standard you gave them, numbnut. And like, he doesn't see that because he's so caught up in his fear and his insecurity and his ego. Like, dude, that's the path you're walking now. And so sometimes this idea of loyalty, it doesn't mean carte blanche acceptance of whatever's coming down the pike. It does mean go back to that harder right, that bigger truth. Like, what are we actually doing here? Is this for our ego, or is this for a larger good that maybe I'm not seeing, or I'm coming at it from a different place? The only way to clean that up is engage and have a conversation, right? And so that was kind of growing up in the martial arts. I had some abuse happen at 5 and 6 that took me sideways, and I can't trust people, and I had to kind of like build it on my own. And martial arts was the thing that put me back together, because it got my mind and my body and my attitude to like link. And so it was seeing these eternal kind of guidelines that keep showing up, these principles that keep showing up. And it's like, if you align with the universe, it's a whole lot easier. Like, it's been here longer. Or you could fight it, I guess, but there's more of everybody else than there is of me. So I think I'm going to lose in the long run if I keep fighting the world.
I get it. So very different backgrounds, both of us, but a lot of it has to do with mindset. For me, parenting, blah, 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 bad childhood, same thing. But for me, I was raised by Captain Picard, and he always had honor. Sounds weird, but Star Trek is what raised me. 4 o'clock every day, I'd come home and watch it. And he always tried to have honor and to be congruent with general goodness. He made bad decisions, but we all make bad decisions. But having that kind of an influence, and it was really big influence on me, moving forward, I always kept that honor with me, always kept that congruency with myself with me. And I don't think that today's society specifically has that type of mentor in that type of way. Now, we've changed a lot. So my next question is going to be for our next guest. Jeremy, I want to thank you. I'm going to throw you to the back. Don't worry, I'm not going to go, but Jeremy, lead like a king. And before I let you do that, or before I let you go, what's your website so people can find you real quick? Because I love your philosophy, and let's give you a plug for no reason.
Yeah, well, I've also been a sponsor. So yeah, leadlikeaking.com. And I'm also the only Jeremy Roadruck on the internet. There's only about 300 Roadrucks, so I'm super easy to find.
Oh, there you go, everybody. This is Jeremy, Lead Like a King. Find him online, and I'll throw you to the back end, and let's get our next guest on here.
Sweet.
Hello, Chad. I've never met you before. Are you enjoying the conversation so far?
I'm enjoying it quite wonderfully today. Thank you.
Okay, so Chad, let's go through who you are and why you're on the show. Let's do this.
All right. Well, I'm Chad Nedland. I'm a child of God. I'm a lover of people, and I actually love the power of our mind. I'm a firm believer that we need to renew our mind before we can renew our life. And so my focus is helping people to find those false narratives that we've been living by, and then to reprogram the subconscious to work in our favor so that we can actually achieve what we were called to be.
Good. I'm not going to get into that with you too deeply, but so my real job is I do hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So reprogramming the subconscious mind is quite an easy or quite a good conversation to have, whether it's God-oriented or any other oriented. So what are your tips, or what are your tips about loyalty and social health?
Well, I think they go hand in hand because, like Jeremy was mentioning, loyalty isn't just a decision that we make. Loyalty becomes a character trait. It becomes part of who we are. He's prior service like myself. So, yeah, we dove deep into courage, honor, integrity, loyalty to one another. And I think in the social context of our social health, people need to realize that loyalty is alignment. When I am aligned with what you do, like say we both work with the subconscious mind, there's an alignment area there. We don't have to do everything the same, but we're loyal to what we do together because we do it for the same purpose. We want to help people become the best they can be to accomplish the best that they can. And I think as far as how do we apply that, loyalty isn't just, I'm not going to go talk to anybody else because I'm loyal to you. Loyalty is, I'm aligned with you to the point where we're automatically connected. You go through my mind throughout the day, not when I'm looking for a pick-me-up or need somebody to talk to. So when we identify the people in our lives, whether it be on social media or whether it just be socially in our lives, we should stop. Everybody should stop and take the time to write out a list and say, these are the people that I just feel aligned with and want to be with. And then identify, why is it that we want to be with those people? What is it that draws us to those people? And you can do one of two things. You can go deeper in a small circle, much like Jesse does, or you can look at different ways of approaching it, saying, these are the core things that constantly draw me closer to people. I'm going to search out larger groups of people like that. And what you do when you do that is you develop deeper relationships, but you also broaden your experience and therefore gain more experience and perspective in your life.
Okay. Here's another question for you then. What happens when you gain that experience and you can no longer be loyal to your old ideas? Not just people, but your old things that you're incongruent with now. How do you change?
I find if the evidence of truth is there to support it, you can do one of things. Argue against the truth, which you're going to lose if it's truth. Or you can say, then what I believed may have been true, but is not an ultimate truth. And then you just adjust your life accordingly. And as long as we look at loyalty as also being alignment, if we're no longer aligned with something that is untrue, then we're no longer aligned with people that hold that as the truth. And that way it's healthier for you to move forward and continue to grow and surround yourself with people who are moving in that same direction.
This is a fantastic conversation because working the way I do, and I'm sure working the way you do, you find that a lot of times people can't move forward with their thought, with their own personal loyalty to what was true in the past, but is no longer true now. People get stuck in that position, and it's so very hard to move forward. And that's for any aspect of life, whether it's politics or health or even sometimes religion and stuff like that. People get stuck in a way that just there's evidence against it, and it's just not true anymore, or never was in the first place. Everybody, let's bring everybody back on and let's do our round robin. I love this episode. It's going great. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Okay, we are good. Oh, we are back with everybody. Good. Brian, welcome back. Jeremy, welcome back. And I'm going to let you guys open the floor. I did this in the last episode, and it seemed to work well. So I'm going to let you guys open the floor, and I'm ask each other any questions you might have about anything that we talked about, and that way it takes the pressure off me.
You got to make the host comfortable, like rule number 1.
Make the guests uncomfortable. That's my goal.
So here's an interesting idea. We've been talking about drilling down and finding your small circle, but you think of the example of Jesus. He built into 12 people, 12 guys, and now that's something that is a worldwide phenomenon, has been for centuries. You think about, not that I'm trying to be political, but if you want to run for president, for example, you have to cultivate a large base of people who are loyal to you. So is there a difference between cultivating loyalty with a small circle versus cultivating a mass movement where people are loyal to you? I suppose being the example really is the key. Am I right?
I think being the example is the key. I love your analogy because I like to talk about how Jesus was the first person to talk about affiliate marketing. He poured into 12 so that when they opened their mouth, everybody heard him.
Yes.
And then they express that out into the world. So as long as I think everything starts by personal example, leads into a small community or core circle. But then when you pour into each other in that circle, that belief system, that culture that you build there actually starts to permeate into everybody else's core circle as well. So whether we're thinking relationally, spreading your message, whether it be hope, resilience, honor, integrity, political, if you're going that direction, what happens is if you focus on the core example of who you are and what you believe, that will spill over into your circle. And then that spills into a larger circle. And the strength, the clarity, and the power of that message will tell you just how far that message will go.
I like that.
There's modern examples of this, not necessarily Jesus, but if you look at, there's a thing called Influencer House, and I don't know if you guys all might be too old to know what this is, but Influencer House was like a group of, at the time, 18-year-olds. I'm old too, but they were like 18 at the time, and they got like 30 people together. They lived in a house, and they all worked together to make their socials go crazy. And now they've all got millions of followers because they focused on one thing and they were loyal to each other at the time. I haven't seen them for years, but I think that I really believe there's I read one time, I'm not sure where it's from, but a person could take over the world with just 21 really, really good, loyal contacts, and that believe in each other and that help each other. And I see it in the town that I live in. There's a religious group here that it's a very small religious group, but what they do is the families work together. One family will be the plumbing family, one family will be the roofing family, and the religion is what binds them. But within that religion, they don't go anywhere else. They go to where they need to go within their own community, and they're loyal to themselves. And they're some of the richest families around. So I think that part of loyalty is super important as well. I'll let you guys continue the conversation. Sorry for interrupting. That was a side tangent.
I want to say something based on what you just said, Jesse. They build a community where there's one person that does everything and it serves the needs of the whole community. I think BNI tries to manufacture that.
Yes.
But I think the thing that, and I've been to a couple of BNI meetings and I didn't join, and I'm not saying it's not a great organization, I just didn't join. But you're required to bring a referral every week for somebody. But if you don't know anyone in the group yet that you trust enough with your referral, you're not bringing that referral. So you can't manufacture that. It has to be organic. Am I right?
You can manufacture it with people on the same wavelength. So if you've got people that are transactional, you can manufacture with other transactional people, and you get hunters hunting for other hunters. But then the people on the receiving end usually feel used and abused, chewed up and spit out, which is the problem with some of the membership models is, but you have to do this, you have to do this. It's like, but if you're just giving to get and it stays that way, that has another name. It's called horse trading. It has an older name, right? The oldest profession. And if it's this constant tit for tat versus if you get into alignment with people, vision and values, And it goes back to the harder right. It goes back to what's the greater good in our community's view, greater good, because some people's greater good is kill everyone who disagrees with us so that we're the one true whatever. And that tends to lead to a thing called it's the no true Scotsman fallacy, right? You end up with, all Scotsmen wear kilts. Well, my buddy Seamus doesn't wear kilts. Well, but a true Scotsman always wears kilts. And it's like, well, and we sit there and run through the example of just how authentically he's a Scot, but he doesn't want to wear a kilt. And whoever's arguing, they only have one example that they're trying to prove is this one person's the example, everything else has to be judged against. And it's like, get bent, right? Okay. What is it you're trying to accomplish? We're all talking in heuristics. We're all talking in best guesses to a large degree, because certain things you can't F the ineffable. It's just, you experience it and go, that was cool. How do we get this to happen more often? Right. In the world I live in for martial arts, we focus on, first thing is be real, because we're talking life and death combat. You got to be real, because if you screw around, you die. But then the second thing is compassion. We have to leave room for other things to exist. And where reality and compassion impact, we can create moments of beauty. Because when someone is struggling and you show up to support them, encourage them, validate them with no attachment to outcome, no expectation to be poured back into, but simply, you're struggling, I can help, I will, move on. Those create beautiful moments. And I think we all have those moments of where we were at a low point and somebody gave to us with nothing intended out of it except, dude, nah, here, and here, you'll be better. Have a good life. See you. And those moments spark and go, that's what life could be. And that's how we build movements, and that's how we build organizations. But then over time you lose sight of that, right? Because if you've read Millionaire Next Door, most first generation millionaires, their kids lose the money. Why? They didn't have the struggle. They didn't have the desire and the ambition. The kids grew up entitled and protected from the pain and the struggle. And then they lose it all because they're entitled to it. They burn it out. And now the grandkids have to restart the cycle again.
Hard men create soft times. That's the saying. Soft times create soft. Yeah, that type thing.
Yeah.
It follows the circle.
That kinda.
Yeah. So before we close out, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's go over each tip. Jeremy, what was your tip? We'll start with you.
I didn't give one. Give me 1 second.
Tip. I should have asked for one.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. All right. So here's my tip. When it comes to everything social media, pretend that it is a window and that everything you comment, post, like is going to be on the newspaper or whatever popular social media channel you consume. Whatever you do today is going to be front page tomorrow. Are you proud of yourself?
So loyalty to your own thoughts, basically, and your own self.
Yeah, your own standards. Like your backstage and your front stage, make them be the same, right? There's an old Chinese quote, and I can't give you the Chinese, but it's basically, the clear conscience doesn't fear the knock on the door at night. If you know you're living your life according to your principles and values, whatever's at the door, you know you're in a good place. Live or die, positive or negative, you're like, but I lived right and true. That's a good way to live. And it's actually the laziest and most efficient thing to do anyway.
I'll bring lying into it. If a person's lying, they have to then keep up the lie. So why bother lying in the first place?
And you have to remember it.
Yeah.
The
That's a hell of a lot. Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to have
Chad,
to keep a spreadsheet on what you told everybody.
Absolutely. Let's go to Chad. What was your tip to do this?
Write down a list of all of your social alignments with people, those people that you're loyal to because you feel drawn to them. Identify the characteristics that draw you to them, and then work on deepening those relationships while seeking out others that hold them. And this will increase perspective and actual depth of relationships.
Awesome. So and Brian, what was your
idea? Keep other people's confidences. Don't share their secrets. If people gossip to you about other people, they will certainly gossip to them about you. So if someone has asked you to please keep it on the down low, please just do it. In fact, I'll tell you what, I used to work for somebody. I used to work for a guy who would purposely tell different versions of the same story to different management to see which versions of the story came back to him. That's how he knew who to trust and not to trust. It was pretty diabolical, but it worked.
I love the interesting idea. Lie to find the honest ones.
That's what he did. And he didn't ever have to worry about me because I never shared his secrets. So I wasn't
not
ever
a
worried
lie.
when he revealed that's what he did. I'm like, that's brilliant, kind of.
It's not a lie. It's a tactical misrepresentation.
Well, that you're probably right about that for sure.
I'm good with the BS, the bureaucratically suitable terms.
Yeah.
I like.
I'm going to stick with you on that being real part.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. I want to thank you guys for being here. The challenge, I think we're not even going to bother with the challenge because here's the real challenge. Just be loyal to yourself and be loyal to the people around you. It doesn't take anything. So everybody who's here, Chad, I want to welcome and nice to meet you. Brian, we've met before. Nice to meet you again. And Jeremy, nice to meet you again. Millionaires Are Made has been a fantastic show for me. It's been good for a lot of the aspects in my life and just to chat with the boys. So next time I'm on, I want to have I would like to revisit this topic at some point. For whoever's watching, put it back in the little suggestion box again, but have an all-woman panel. Seriously. And find out what they have different than what we have here. And, ma'am team, here's one for you as well. I think that you guys should have a female host to host that as well, so we can understand loyalty from a female perspective. It's a pretty good idea, right? Because I think there are different aspects that women have versus men. Also, is there anything else anybody wants to leave with before I end the show? That's it, everybody?
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good topic. So, Lead Like a King. Jeremy, I want to thank you for coming on. Your website is leadlikeaking.com. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. That is fantastic. Tanya, you could be a guest. I see your comment up there, by the way. Brian, your website, what is it, and how do people get a hold of you?
UltimateAchieversMagazine.com if you want to check out the magazine, and my calendar link is callwithbrian.com.
There you go. Also, I thought Brian was small time the first time I talked to him, and then I went to his website and I looked at the magazine and I was like, holy shit, he knows a lot of people, or at least he's connected to a lot of people. So go look at Brian's magazine and have a good time. Chad, since I've never met you before other than today, do you have a website that you help people with, or are you just on here not promoting yourself at all?
Well, I do have a website. I'm not promoting anything at the moment. I'm taking a brief sabbatical of mind and work right now and just taking 6 months and just serving this year. But if you want to connect with me and have a chat with me, it's Chad J. Nedlin on Facebook. You'll find me there. You can't miss this goofy mug.
Perfect. Everybody, I do want to thank you so much, and thank you for being loyal to the show. I know some of you were here last minute, and that's Millionaires Are Made, everybody. I hope you've had a good time with the host with the least, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time, everyone.